Welcome back to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest. My name is Ben, and this is the second last week of the regular season for the 2021 NRL Telstra Premiership. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty tired. It's been a long season. It's been a long season of watching football. For me, it's been a long season of making these videos. And thank you so much for coming along with me on my journey. This is my first season of doing this show and doing the whole YouTube thing. And it's been a lot of fun, but I am feeling very tired. And between you and I kind of can't wait for the season to be over. That being said, I'm very excited for finals football. Whether or not my Canberra Raiders are in the finals or not, I'm still looking forward to it because I think we've got a crackerjack finish to this regular season. Before I get into this round 24 preview show, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel and you want to stay in the loop of my content, you know what you got to do. You got to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. And if you like this video, I appreciate the like, and I also appreciate all the comments that I get from you guys. It's great to hear from you and to be able to interact with you a little bit. Let's see some more of that. Before we get into this round's preview, let's have a look over my tips from last week. I happened to tip 6 from 8, which was okay by this season's standards. I'm going to say okay because I feel like I'm probably averaging, without even doing the numbers, I reckon I'm averaging a 6 point something tips per round for this season. I had the Storm. I got that one. Did not get my Raiders. Did not get the Rabbitohs. I did get the Sharks, Knights, Eels, Roosters, and Broncos. So 6 from 8. And I don't usually do this. I don't usually deconstruct my betting tips from the previous round, but I'm going to do it this week. And the reason I'm going to do it is I had a damn good week when it comes to the anytime try scorers. So I don't know how many of you out there are taking my tips and, having a bit of a flutter. But if you're not, and I'm not encouraging any gambling, maybe consider it because last week of the 24 first try scorers that I picked, so 3 per round, 3 per game, eight games, 3 times 8 is 24. I picked 13. That's over 50%. I had Josh Adokar, I had Nico Hines, I had Harry Grant, Brent Naden, Api Carousel, Will Kennedy, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Enari Tuwala, Bradman Best, Clint Gutherson, Daniel Tupou, Dale Copley, and Anthony Milford. Now, you might say to yourselves, well, Ben, anyone can just pick a random player, especially an outside back, and if they've got a high scoring rate, well, then there's a decent chance that they're going to score a try. It's not really as easy as that. Because if you go through that list there's a couple of I wouldn't even say smokies because they're way out of the realm of being smokies. Like, look at the Api Carousel bet, $4.50 that was paying. That's a good one. He doesn't score a lot of tries, but I tipped that one. Had Harry Grant in there at 270. I had Anthony Milford at 320 on the day that he decided to rediscover that 2015 form. I was at that game. He was outstanding and he scored a try and I backed him. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. I won't deconstruct my other bets, my margin bets and so forth. I don't know how I went in that. I imagine I went pretty good because usually margin-wise I'm on the money. What I will say about that, though, is 2021, let's be honest, when it comes to tipping, it hasn't been the hardest year. Because the style of game that the NRL has administered with the rule changes has, I'm not going to say completely changed, but it's sped up a lot. So the teams that were ready for it are winning by big margins. It's getting easier to pick those clashes. So I'm not going to go through those bets there. Anyway, let's get into this week's preview for the second last round of this season. Thursday night, the Knights take on the Titans from Sunshine Coast Stadium. Now, Knights last week, they edged out the Bulldogs. They secured their spot in the top 8 with that win. They did what they needed to do. They did, however, concede 2 tries in the final 11 minutes of the game, and that was to quite possibly one of the worst first grade sides in NRL history, in Australian Rugby League history, this Bulldogs side. With all due respect, Doggies fans, I think you know what you've got as a team to follow. If I followed your team, I'd feel pretty dejected, but Knights weren't fantastic, but highlight from that game for mine was Jake Clifford's performance. I'll have to read through this stat sheet here. So he had a try, 2 try assists, 2 line breaks, and 3 tackle breaks. And for mine, he's proving to be one of the buys of 2021. He's a very, very good footballer, and I think he's only going to get better as his time with the Knights rolls on. And he's obviously, Adam O'Brien's obviously put a lot of faith into him as a young footballer. Playing with Mitchell Pearce certainly is going to help his game, but I mean, how much longer is Mitchell Pearce going to be at the Knights? We don't know, but it's good to see that his career is going in the right direction following his leaving of North Queensland. Titans were up 16-12 at halftime against the Storm. They ended up getting beaten 20-34, and that's really not good enough for the Titans if they want to play finals football. I was convinced probably a month or so ago they were going to play finals football. I'm not quite sure at this point in time. Certainly playing the Knights this week is going to be a good test for them because they're both battling for those spots. Knights obviously already consolidated their spot, but if they can't beat the Knights, they can't expect to do anything come finals if they make it. All right, in terms of team changes, Suaso Su for the Knights takes David Clemmer's spot in the front row as he serves his 1-game suspension. And Tyson Frizzell returns to the second row with Brodie Jones warming the pine. That means he's on the bench. For the Titans, heaps of changes. Please refer to the team list there. In the betting stakes, in the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.85 for the Knights, $1.95 for the Titans. I actually would have had the Knights a little bit shorter odds than that, just given their form. Anytime try scorer market, Inari Tuala, $1.75. Heimel Hunt, $1.95, and Corey Thompson from the Titans, you'll get $1.95. In terms of margin betting, I like the Knights 1-12 at $3, and I think the Knights are going to win this one by 8 points. First Friday night game sees the Warriors take on my Canberra Raiders from BP Prince Stadium up in Mackay. Warriors last week, I was at the game against the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium, sitting in my boss's corporate box, enjoying the free lunch, the free snacks. I'm going to give you a rundown of how Suncorp Stadium treats you in the corporate box, okay? So for starters, you get this little hors d'oeuvre kind of plate with olives and really cool breads and some other hams and pastrami's and stuff. And then you get the lunch, which has got you've got 3 servings of meat, you've got your chicken, you've got your beef or your lamb, I don't remember which it was. And then you get these prawn skewers, and then you got these really nice salads and some vegetables. Then you got the free beers and wines. Then at halftime, as if that wasn't good enough, they come out with the gourmet sausage rolls and the pies, the mini ones. And then there's a cheese platter. And then there's dessert. They put on a good show, Suncorp Stadium. Thank you so much for that. Warriors lost to the Broncos. Reece Walsh tried his heart out. I was watching that game from an elevated position, and I could see how visibly dejected Reece Walsh was when his side didn't win the game. And it was a damn shame because he really put in a good effort. However, his goal kicking probably ultimately led to their demise. If he had kicked a bit better, they would have won that game. Raiders last week were up 12-0 against the Seagulls. Ended up losing 18-19 right at the end of the game. They were up to their knees in this contest, and in the second half, they allowed the Seagulls back into the game. They allowed the Seagulls back into the game, just as they did the Melbourne Storm the prior week. The Raiders should have won both of those games, and that's not me saying it from a biased position. It's me saying it just from a football fan's perspective, someone who watched a lot of football. They should have won that game. Disappointing that they didn't do it. The Raiders scored right at the death at Chance Nickel Klooster, and it was 18-all, and then Jordan Rapana had an opportunity to win the game via a 40-metre field goal attempt, and he did not make it. In terms of team changes for both sides, please refer to my team list graphic. There are too many to name. And in the betting market, you'll get $2.80 for the Warriors, which I think is a really solid odd. I don't think they're going to win this game. I think the Raiders are just going much better at the moment. They are playing like a final. They're not playing to the best of their ability. They are missing key personnel in terms of a genuine servicing halfback. But I don't think they're going to win. But $2.80 for them, $1.42 for the Raiders. In terms of first try scorer, anytime try scorers, Reece Walsh, you'll get $2.30. He's always a special for a try. He's always there or thereabouts, wherever the ball is, basically. Jordan Rapana, $2.10. I think he's good for a try. And Matt Tomoko, who I've really been waiting to see score a try. He's really been working towards it. $2.60 for him. He's playing very well, the young guy. I think the Raiders will win this one by 14 points. And if you like that 13 plus, $2.50 for you. Second Friday night game is an absolute cracker. It's a Sydney derby. It's the Roosters versus the Rabbitohs from Suncorp Stadium. So that's a hell of a Friday doubleheader, if you ask me. You've got two teams, one side that can't make finals anymore against a side that can make finals in the Warriors and the Raiders, and then you've got a towards the top of the table clash in the Sydney derby. Roosters last week obliterated the Dragons 40-22. Daniel Tupou scored a hat-trick. I don't really know what else to say about that game. The Roosters just keep rolling on. The Rabbitohs lost to the Panthers 12-25. Now, they'd scored 12 points in that first half, and they looked like they were in a position to really win that contest. And when you look at the stats, there really wasn't much between the two sides, but the completion rates tell the story of where this contest ultimately ended up. The Rabbitohs weren't great in the second half in terms of their completions. Penrith just did it better. They won 25-12. In terms of team changes for both sides, heaps of changes for the Roosters, like lots of changes. Refer to the team list graphic. For the Rabbitohs, a little bit more straightforward. Keon Kalua-Matangi is suspended for 2 games, and that brings Jaden Sewer into the back row. Jackson Paulo takes Josh Mansour's spot on the wing. I believe Josh Mansour's out for the season with an injury. In terms of the betting odds, you'll get $3.90 for the Roosters, that is a really, really, really good odd. If you think the Roosters are a chance, get on that. $3.90, that's overpriced as far as I'm concerned. $1.22 for the Rabbits. In terms of first try, anytime try scorers, Teddy at $3 I think is a good bet, as well as Latrell Mitchell at $1.95 and AJ Alex Johnston at $1.55. I think the Rabbitohs are going to win this one by 10 points. And if you like... what have I done there? Okay, I've tricked myself here. I've done this incorrectly, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to commit to it. It's on paper. I think the Rabbitohs are going to win by 10, but if you like the Roosters 1-12 margin, $5.50. Why not? First Saturday game. First game of Super Saturday this week sees the Dragons take on the Cowboys in a game that no one's going to care about, not even their own fans. Let's be honest. Last week, the Dragons were beaten comprehensively by the Roosters. They were just not in the same stratosphere as a great side as the Roosters. You get the sense that the Dragons wouldn't mind if the season ended tomorrow. You might just hurt a little bit less. Just rip that Band-Aid straight off. Cowboys went down to the Eels in a game that the Eels were expected to win anyway. That was 16-32. They went down. Not really too much to say about that contest, if I'm being honest. In terms of team changes for both sides, please refer to the team list. I'm really trying to get through this contest as quickly as possible. No disrespect to fans of either of these teams, but you know what I'm saying. You probably don't want to hear more about this contest than you need to. You just want the season to be over, and that's okay. Because I'm nearly there. Yeah. In the head-to-head market, you get $1.70 for the Dragons, $2.15 for the Eels. The head-to-head market. Did I say that? Did I say anytime try scorer? I don't know. I'm buzzing, man. I'm working off adrenaline here. Anytime try scorers, Talatau Amoni, $2.80. I think I tipped him last week and he didn't score. Hopefully he does me some justice this week. Zach Lomax at $2.50. And the Hammer, Hamiso Tabio Fidau, $2.15. I like the Dragons by 6 points, and if you like that 1-12 margin, $3.20 for you. Although I would not be surprised if the Cowboys win. This is kind of it's almost like a toss of the coin contest as far as I'm concerned. Although the head-to-head odds don't really reflect that. Whatever. Second game, Super Saturday, Sharkies, Broncos. Sharks absolutely destroyed the Tigers last week, 50-20. It was a complete shellacking. I think it would just be easier to name who didn't score for the Sharks than to name who did score. There was a really long list there. If the Sharks can beat the Broncos this week, and the Broncos will be brimming with confidence off the back of Anthony Milford's best game in absolutely years. He was the best player on the park by a mile. He looked faster. His passing was crisp. He was tricky with his stepping at the line. He was really good. He even defended well. This is actually going to be a test for the Sharks. If they win this week, they make the finals as far as I'm concerned, and I think mathematically too. Broncos last week beat the Warriors by 2 points. Stat-wise for Anthony Milford, I've already raved about his performance, but he scored a try and he set up 3 tries. If someone can tell me the last time Anthony Milford did something even remotely close to that stat-wise, then I'd like to know. And I'm not going to go through the record books to figure it out because I've got better things to do with my time than to prop up Anthony Milford. Although, I'm joking. All right. Good on him. It was good to see him play some good football. Good. I'm a big Milf fan from way back. I say this after I've trashed him so much. I'm a big Milf fan, actually. No, I was a huge fan of him when he came through the grades at Canberra. He was an outstanding player, and I would love to see him go to South next year and rediscover some of that form. Yeah. Team changes for the Sharks. Mawene Hiroti replaces Ronaldo Mulatalo on the wing, and Aiden Tolman returns from his suspension via the interchange bench, pushing Billy Magulius, the funnest name in rugby league to say, to the reserves. For the Broncos, no changes to the side that won last week against the Warriors, so that's good for them. In the head-to-head market, $1.50 for the Sharkies and $2.55 for the Bronx. Anytime try scorers, Will Kennedy, $2. Sione Katoa, $1.68. And I like Tessinu for the Broncos for a try at $2.40. I'm tipping the Sharks to win this one by 18 points. And if you like that 13-plus margin for the Sharkies, $2.70. That being said, I think that the Broncos are really going to bring it to them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that result is a lot closer. I just think if you're looking at both sides' fortunes over the whole season, Sharks are going much better. Broncos, they won a game last week, but then again, it might be another 5-6 games before they win another one. Who knows? Certainly won't be this season because they don't have 5 or 6 more games this season. Yeah, I'm saying. All right, the last game of Super Saturday, I'm hoping is a cracker. Because it should be, on paper, it should be a cracker. It's the Storm versus the Blue and Golds, the Eels. Last week, the Storm did away with the Titans. They got a bit of a scare there. They won 34-20. They managed to score 22 points in the second half and totally iced the thing, as you expect the Storm to do. Eels beat the Cowboys, and I'm not going to give them any props for that because they should have beaten the Cowboys, and perhaps they should have beaten them by more. But they won 32-16. Now's their opportunity to show what they can do against the top 4 side. They're definitely playing finals. There's no risk of them being bungled out. I think the worst they can finish on the ladder is in 6th place. But here's an opportunity for them to play the Storm and show that they belong in the finals and they can potentially contend. Because myself, as well as probably everyone else out there, even my best mate who's an Eels fan, is really not convinced that they're going to do anything this season. We shall see. Team changes for the Storm. The big guns are back. Smith, Olam and Hughes, along with some other changes which are reflected in the team list. For the Eels, Mike Acevo is out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, which is a massive blow for them. But he is replaced on the wing by Blake Ferguson, which, it's pretty handy to have a guy like Blake come in when you've got a big injury like that. Ray Stone and Keegan Hipgrave have been promoted to the interchange bench from the extended bench, and that was a swap with Will Smith and Oregon Kafusi. I'm sorry if you can hear the chair squeaking here on the microphone. It's a real pain in the ass. It's a crap chair. It really is. It's cheap. I should probably invest in a good one. My apologies in advance. That's gross. That's gross. If you know what I just did, that's gross. I just swallowed my... Moving on. Head-to-head market. $1.05 for the Storm. $9 for the Eels. Don't even bet on that. Don't even think that's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Anytime try scorer market, I don't have a single Eels player in there, but I do have Ryan Pappenhausen at $1.85, Josh Adokar at $1.45, and Justin Olam at $1.90. I'm tipping the Storm to win by 20 points, and I think that's being very conservative. I think it could quite honestly be more. But if you like Melbourne 13+, which as far as I'm concerned is the only bet, $1.32. Second last game of the round comes to us from Moreton Daly Stadium up there in Redcliffe. The Seagulls take on the Bulldogs. Last week, the Seagulls just edged out the Raiders. I spoke about that a little bit earlier on. They would be happy that they managed to get revenge on the Raiders, having lost to them earlier in the season. Bulldogs lost to the Knights 16-22. I'm not going to talk about that because there's really not much to talk about. It's the Bulldogs doing what they do best, losing games. In terms of team changes for either side, please refer to the team list graphics. Couldn't be asked going through all the team changes. Head to head, you'll get $1.01 for the Seagulls and $15 for the Bulldogs. $15. Don't think that this is going to happen either. Do not bet on that. Don't even put 5 on that. I mean, do what you want. It's your money, but no, that's not going to happen. In the anytime try scorer market, I've got Homole Olakau'atu at $2.05 and Josh Schuster at $2.60, as well as Morgan Harper at $1.85. You notice there I put 2 forwards in there? That is because I think that if you're looking for value in this game, the outside backs, there's really not much value for Manly where the anytime try scorer stakes are concerned. Get on a forward because I think everyone's going to score in this game. If you like Seagulls 13+, which is the only bet, you'll only get $1.11 for that. And I'm tipping the Seagulls to win by 50. That's right, you heard it, 50 points. If it's any less than 40, then I'm almost appalled at the Seagulls. Last game of the round, Panthers, Tigers. Panthers beat the Rabbitohs last week. And, that was even though, the Panthers are ahead of South on the ladder, it was 2v3, it did send a message. That performance sent a message. They are there to win the competition. Message read loud and clear, Panthers. We get it. Tigers lost to the Sharks 20-50. Yeah, I think you can stick a fork in the Tigers. They're done, along with a lot of other sides. In terms of team changes, for the Panthers, James Fisher-Harris and winger Brian To'o will play their first game since round 19, with Matt Eisenhuth and Brent Naden dropping out of the squad to accommodate their return. For the Tigers, heaps of changes. Please refer to the team list. In the head-to-head odds, $1.01 for the Panthers. That basically means don't bet on them. And then you get 15 for the lowly Tigers. In terms of anytime try scorers, I like Brian To'o at $1.40. I also like Jerome Luai at $2.90. Those are really juicy odds for him. I like that. $2.90 for Luai. And Moses Leota at $5.25. I think a couple of forwards are going to score in this game, a la the last contest I was talking about there, a la the Sea Eagles. Moses Leota at $5.25 just kind of jumped out at me, and I went, I like that. Panthers 13+ is what I'm tipping, and that'll pay $1.13. And I think the Panthers will win this one by 40 points. That's been this week's episode of the NRL Punters Weekly Digest preview show / team tips, whatever you want to call it. In a couple of weeks' time, and when I say a couple of weeks, prior to round 1 of the finals, I am going to put out a Pretenders v Contenders video. It's basically going to be my analysis of the final series, let you know who I think legitimately has a shot and who doesn't have a shot. Look out for that one. Other than that, I will see you next week with the round 25 preview show, which will be the very last for this NRL Telstra Premiership regular season for 2021. I will see you then.